Hello everyone, and welcome to CSS Seminar by Taz Design. I'm Tiffany and I will be teaching your CSS seminar today. I am a freelance web designer and I have been in the web design industry for about 5 to 8 years now. In the past, I've worked for a few digital media companies, some non-profit companies, and just worked on various client websites. Feel free to check out my website. It's www.tazdesigns.ca, and there we feature a list of companies that we work for, some of our skills. We got some of our work that we've done, and you can also contact me if you have any questions. I am also a tutor in HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and PHP at a local college here in Ontario, Canada, and I usually do that between the school year, so like September to April. I'm also a university student here in my local province. I am studying sociology and going for my teaching degree, so I could eventually teach technology at the middle school level, like grade 6 to 8. And yeah, so some of my future plans include opening up an organization in areas where kids are not that fortunate to like get experience with technology and things like that. So I just want to open up an organization so where they could learn technology skills and come for help if they have any like issues with their technology classes, and just to like prepare them for like high school. Like high school has a lot of technology classes, so just to prepare them for classes like that. So yeah, you probably heard about this seminar through my blog, cssanimation.net. And so our blog, it features some examples, tutorials, videos, and we have some really good examples out there. You could also check out our portfolio and check out the work that we've done that includes CSS animation. And so yeah, we recently just started the CSS Seminar section of our blog. This is our second seminar, and we hope to continue on with these. So I'll just give you a basic tour of our blog, and then we will get started with a short presentation on just like things that we'll be doing today and what you'll be learning. And we hope that you enjoy the seminar and return back to our future seminars. Thank you for coming out. So here is our blog, cssanimation.net. As I said before, we have tutorials, examples, videos, a portfolio, and here we list our recent seminars that are going to be coming up. So yeah, this is our homepage. We usually feature our feature articles here. One of our latest articles included an Android puzzle where the Android dude was in pieces, and we use CSS animation to put them back together. We have a features section which features some of our top articles. We also have a recent article section here to the left as I scroll down. And we also have a section that features tutorials, so you could get updates on our latest tutorials that we posted on here. And we're a big believer in Flash won't last, so we also have a section here that has some of our articles that talk about why Flash won't last. And our sidebar you could check out with our recent posts, visit our social media pages, and yeah, we'll just check out a couple of our recent posts here, like our Android dude here. I'll show you what we did with this one. So what we did, Android dude was in pieces and he rolls back into one using a CSS animation. We use the fill mode property for this, so each of the pieces will stay where they are once the animation is done playing. So that is what we used for this puzzle right here. It's pretty cool. I'll play it again. We also use the rotate property and the positioning property just to get him back together there. Another tutorial that we did was when we used jQuery, HTML5, and CSS3 to create a cassette tape, which played music when you clicked on it, and it also animated the cassette design there. So once you hit play, it played the music and the tape spinning went around. So pause it and play again from where you were. So that was a pretty cool tutorial as well. He'll never see you cry, pretends he doesn't know that he's. And I'll show you one more. How about we go to our portfolio and I'll show you one more tutorial that we've also did. This is a cool one. We did input boxes, animated input boxes. So when you hover over, it shows the text input where you could input your info there. So yeah, once you hover over, it showed the input there. And this again was also used with CSS3 animation. So we have a short presentation on the things that we'll be doing today, which include a little bit about HTML5 and CSS3. So let's just get this presentation open and going. Here we go. So again, welcome to CSS Seminar by Taz Designs. Today we will be applying CSS3 animation to the body of a website. The programs needed today will include for our Windows users, Notepad++, and for our Mac users, Text Wrangler. So make sure you have those editors there because you'll need them to code along with us. And the internet browsers that you'll be needing today, these are the browsers that support CSS3 animation. So you have to have these browsers in order to view what we'll be doing today. So you'll need Google Chrome, Mozilla Firefox, Apple Safari, or Internet Explorer 10. One of these will work, not all four of them, sorry. So just one of them, so Google Chrome, or Firefox, or Safari, or IE10, and it has to be IE10, because IE10 is currently, right now, the only IE browser that supports CSS3 animation. Today we will be coding in HTML5 and CSS3. What is HTML5? HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. HTML5 is the latest version of HTML, and it's a programming language used to present content on the web. These are what websites are built for, and HTML is easy to read by both humans and computers. Some of the cool new features right now for HTML5, they're slowly popping up, but right now what cool features that interest us here is a media playback, offline storage, and drag and drop. CSS3, what is CSS3? CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheet. CSS3 is the latest version of CSS. CSS is a programming language, and it's used to style web pages, so it adds all that funky style onto your web pages so you can get a good interface going there. CSS adds to the presentation and design of a website, It displays more fancier effects and more enriched user interface onto web pages. It also uses, the new CSS3 also uses drop shadows, gradients, border effects, animation, and transformations. Creating a HTML file. So a basic HTML file will follow the following structure as you see here in the image. First, our HTML page, it opens up the page with an HTML tag, and this tag indicates to the browser that the web page is written in HTML. We then have our head tags, which contains the title of the web page. And then inside our head tags, we have our title tags. Our head tag contains information about the web page. And inside our head tags, there we go, contains the title tags that contains the title of the web page. And below our head tags, we have our body tags. And our body tag contains information that is displayed within the web page. So whatever you see on the website there, that is what is in between those body tags. And then we have to close out our HTML file with a closing HTML tag, which closes off the web page there. So the basic naming structure of an HTML file ends with .html. So for example, mypage.html. So here's a list of some of the tags that we will be using today within the seminar. We have our section tag. Our section tag will define a section within the document. So it is sections of content basically. And then our article tag, it specifies independent self-contained content. So content that you want to have its own section within a section, if that makes sense. Our aside defines some of the content aside from the content that is placed in it. We'll be using our H1 and H3 tags, and this will define some of our headings here. We'll also be using a div tag, and then again, this div tag sections off content within the document. Our HR tag, it divides content in the page, so it uses a line just to separate content. Our P tag defines a paragraph. Our UL defines an unordered bullet list there. Oh, we kind of spelled unordered wrong, but yeah, it defines an unordered bullet list. And LI, it defines the items that will be in this unordered list. We have our image tag, and this defines the images on the page. So you use this tag just to insert the images you want to display on the page. And our BR will basically add a line break onto the page. So if you just again want to separate content without the HR that displays the line there, that's what you will be using. Creating a CSS file. A CSS style sheet contains the names of the HTML elements and tags. The style sheet can be externally linked from the HTML file, or it can also be embedded within the head of the HTML page. The style sheet renders specific style properties to apply onto the web page, and usually HTML elements are defined with classes, IDs, and tag names, and we'll get a little bit more info on that on our next slide. And the style sheet usually follows the following naming structure: style.css. Okay, so again, we're talking about our class name, ID's name, and tag name. So our class name is defined with the period prefix, and then it follows the class name that the HTML element is named after. And then our ID name is defined with a # prefix, and then followed by the ID name of the HTML element. Our tag name, it usually is defined with the tag name. So say if you have an image tag, it will be defined with the img, as you see down there at the bottom line. Tags defined with the tag name, example img. You'll see that a little bit later on once we start coding. So linking your style sheet to your HTML file. We will use a HTML link tag, and this link tag is what links our HTML file to our CSS page. And the link tag will link again the style to your HTML file, and the relationship that is defined between your HTML file and your external sheet is what this link tag does. The link tag uses three attributes. Usually uses three attributes. We have our href, which defines the location of the style sheet we want to link our HTML file to. Our rel defines what the link tag is being used for, and the type of document that the tag is linked to. So we actually already have this link tag set up in the files that we'll be using today. So there's no need to worry about this section. Now we'll just be taking a short break. So feel free to ask any questions within the chat box if you have any questions, or just say hello. And we're just gonna set up here for a few minutes, and then we'll start again and show you how to set up a split screen view and show you where the files are, and take a look at what we'll be doing today. So about 5-10 minutes, and then we'll start coding. Okay, we are back. Again, sorry if you hear any background noise. My neighbor's doing a little bit of construction there, so we hear it here, and maybe you'll hear some of the birds too, but I'm sorry if you hear any of that background noise. So yeah, first we'll be explaining to you what we've done within our first seminar we had previously in April. What we did in that seminar is that we created an animated website header using CSS3 animation and transitions. So now I'm just going to give you a little overview of what we did there in that seminar. So yeah, here is the website that we worked on for our first seminar that was on creating an animated website header. I'll just reload the page here. So what we did, we created a logo that rolled in from the right, a title that dropped in from the top, and it has this bouncing effect added to it. Our slogan slowly faded in from left to right, and our navigation, it animates on hover, does a little transition there. And this was all used with HTML5 and CSS3. I can show you a bit of the code here. So here is what we did for our header part of our header of our first seminar. We created 2 divs. And our first div nested the image, which is the logo. Our second div nested the image for our title. And then we use CSS3 to create the animation. Our logo here, if you see the highlighted area, it called the animation, which rolled in the logo. We created a keyframe animation. So our keyframe animation, it changed the rotation of the logo at through 5 keyframes there. So it rotated from 0 degrees to 1440 degrees, and that is how we achieved the rolling effect there. Let's show you again. And our title here again, which is an image, what we did for that, our title was also called with a keyframe called fade in title, and this keyframe here, there you go, this section, and this keyframe here was called fade in title. And this fade in title keyframe, if we just scroll down to the bottom here, it basically changed the opacity from 0 to 1, and it changed positions from being off the screen on the top to being to its set position from the top at 0 pixels. I'll give you a little preview of that. Sorry, wrong window. Actually close that. So yeah, that is how we got the title to drop down and fade in. Our slogan was the longest process of our previous seminar. Our slogan here, let me just highlight the area. Our slogan, each letter was nested in its own span element. You can see the A, the N, E. So they all have their own span elements, right, and their own classes. So each class, let's scroll up here, let's start here. Each class basically called the animation fade in text, and we created the keyframe animation fade in text. So each letter would fade in 0.3 seconds after the previous one at a 0 opacity to a 1 opacity. I'll just show you the keyframe that we created here. Fade in text. So yeah, each of the keyframe basically changed the opacity state to achieve that effect, and each letter was faded in 0.3 seconds. Let's scroll up here. 0.3 seconds, so 84 milliseconds, 8700 milliseconds, 9000 milliseconds, 0.3 seconds after the previous letter. and that is how we got that faded effects for our slogan here. Pretty cool. Our navigation, let's go back to our HTML. Our navigation section here, as I highlighted, they had the ID of nav button and the class of turn left and turn right. So what we did, we actually animated the turn left and turn right of each of the navs there. And so these classes, the animation was applied on the hover, and we used a CSS3 transition to apply a transform rotate to each of the navigations. So once you hovered over each of the navigations, they rotated minus 10 degrees or either 10 degrees, depending if it was the left or right one. So that is how we did that. That is how we got that using the transition. And we also did a hover for our logo. So when we hovered over our logo there, as you see, it does a little spin. And to achieve this, we just added a hover to our logo selector. Let's scroll up a bit here in our CSS. So if you look at this highlighted area, our hover performed a transition on hover. So what it did, it transitioned the logo to turn 360 degrees every time it was hovered over. And yeah, that is how we achieved that one there. So that was pretty cool. And as you see, our title here, it has a bouncing effect, and it just keeps bouncing, keeps bouncing, keeps bouncing. And to do this, what we did here, we actually created a new selector for it, and we created a keyframe called floating images. Sorry, floating animation. So this floating animation, if we go down to the keyframe that we created, so what it did, it basically changed the top position at each one of the keyframe states. That's how we achieved the bouncing effect. And we applied an infinite loop, so it kept bouncing, kept bouncing, kept bouncing. Sorry, I live by a train track too. I hear the train coming by there. So yeah, it just kept bouncing, kept bouncing, kept bouncing. So we applied an infinite loop to it, and that is how we achieve the bouncing effect over there. So you could also, I believe if you are watching this seminar, you have the files for this header, but you could also get the files on our blog if you search for the video of the seminar. We also have a link to download the files for this header if you're interested. And that title is pretty cool. I actually got the idea from attending a workshop at the Yorkville Media Center. It was a hackathon, a CSS hackathon, and one of the groups actually did a bouncing effect to their hack there, and I was wondering how they did that, and that's how they did it, and that's how I learned it. I also actually applied this to our coming soon page. Let's take a quick look at that. So our coming soon page had the bouncing effect added to it. That's a pretty cool effect. I like that. I use this effect a lot within my designs when creating like a website for a client. I enjoy using that animation there. Okay, so the project that we'll be working on today is creating an animated website body. So and add an animation onto the body of your website. Give you a little preview of that. So again, we're including the header that we previously taught at our previous seminar, and now we're just working on the body now. So we're going to animate the body. Let's refresh it for a bit. So what will happen now is that we're going to have some content in our main area, and this content will be automatically scrolled, as you can see there. And then our thumbnails, once you hover over them, they'll rotate and show a little caption for the pictures there. And our social media icons will have a rotation animation added to it. And then we also created a CSS3 slider, which will slide through some content in the sidebar there. Take a look there. So you should have received or downloaded the files that we'll be working with today. It's in a folder called CSS Seminar Files, July 7th. So within this folder, you have two folders, the resources folder and the seminar files folder. So our resources folder basically has a completed project in it. So if you lose track of where we are, once we start coding soon, you could just look into that file and then just copy and paste it into the correct position. And our seminar files folder will have the template that we'll be working on today. So just to make sure everyone is set up properly, you should have a screen that looks like this. So on the left side, you'll have the video, and on the right side, once we open up the editor, you'll have your editor open. So what you'll be seeing right now in this video section is this image. And then once we open up the editor, you'll have your editor on the right hand side. So let's open up our text editor now. So Mac users will most likely be using Text Wrangler, Sublime. Even our Windows users could actually use Sublime if you're interested. But today I will be using Notepad++. So we'll open up the index and the style files. Go into that folder on our desktop. To CSS Seminar Files _ July 7th. CSS Seminar July 7th. Seminar Files. We'll open up the index first. And now we'll open up the style sheet. Okay. Now if we just scroll down to the section that we'll be working on, as you can see, I added comments to make it easier to navigate. So the section we'll be working on, you'll see CSS Seminar July 7th, animating the body of a website. So this is the section that we want to have visible right now. And also our index, as you can see, I added comments too. So we want to make sure we see the CSS Seminar July 7th, animating the body of a website. So we want to make sure that section is visible as well. So I'll just give everyone a few minutes to open up their editor, open up their file, and just make sure that they have everything ready. Okay, so hopefully everyone has their editor open and the files open. Let's take a quick look at what we'll be doing today again. So our body text here is going to be using the auto scrolling. So we're going to basically be changing the position of the section that holds the text that creates the auto scrolling. And our thumbnails will be using transition and transform to do that little flip there. Our social media icons will be using a rotate transform to do the spin, and our content slider will also be using CSS3 to slide through the content there. So our HTML file, we have some tags already inset for you here. We have our section tag, and this section will be used for the main content that will have the paragraph and the thumbnails within this section. And the paragraph will actually be stored in the article section here, so we'll be putting some text within these in between these article tags. And our side, which is our sidebar, will have our sidebar content, which is the social media icons and the content slider. This seminar was set to go till 3:30, but we will probably be ending around 2:30. I just wasn't sure how long it would actually be, but it will probably just be around 2:30. We'll see. No longer than 3:30 though. Okay, so let's get started here. So just make sure everyone has the HTML file open. So after the start body text section comment, we're actually going to create an H1 tag. This H1 is a header tag, and it makes text stand out. So it's like a title of a website. And our title will be Learning How to Animate with HTML5 and CSS3. And you always have to remember to close your tag. So a closing tag, it uses a backslash within the bracket tags there. So that's how you close the tag. Let's highlight it. If you see my mouse over it right there, a backslash tag, this is how a HTML tag is closed. We'll also have a subtitle, which will use an H3, and so we'll put on July 7, 2003, we will animate the body of this website. And close your tag with H3. I'll just give everyone a minute or two just to get that typed in. Okay, so now we're going to go to our article section here, and if you just hit enter after the article comment, we're going to be creating a div. So a div basically creates a section. Like if you want to section off content or photos, it sections off content. So div, and then we'll hit enter and then create the closing div tag. Now in between these tags, we'll want to put some dummy text, which is known as Lori Lipsum text. So to get this text, we'll have to surf to the Lori Lipsum website. So the website for this, if you want to go to your browser, is called www.limsum.com. I'll give everyone a couple minutes just to get that site up. So to create text, if you scroll down, you'll see a button here, and it lets you generate paragraphs of how much text that you want. I believe that we'll just be using, let me check here. We'll just use two paragraphs. If we need more, we'll just copy and paste more. So then you put in 2 and then hit paragraphs, then generate Lori Limpson. And then it gives you the text here that you could just highlight, right click, copy, go back to your text editor, and then place it in between the div tags. It might be a bit long, so what we're going to do is we're actually going to hit enter and then add some BRs, like if you maybe like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'll be after like the 8th sentence in that text there. We'll hit enter so it goes down to the next line. Just make sure it's positioned properly so it actually looks like a paragraph of text. Actually, we'll bring that down a bit more. Bring you down. Now we're going to add some BRs to this, just so it's spaced out properly. So wherever you hit the enter, you'll want to add a BR tag like this. So in between the tags, a BR, then a backslash. Give everyone just a couple seconds just to take in the tag there. So it's a BR tag just to add the text to the next line when displaying it on the web page. So just add this BR to every sentence that you put on, just before every sentence that you put on the next line. So you have your paragraph of text in there. Just give everyone a couple minutes just to position out their paragraph. It doesn't have to look exactly the same as mine, just a few lines of text. And make sure you get your BRs in there just to separate the text properly. Okay, so now we're going to add a class to the div that holds our text. So if we go over to our div that we created, and after the V, but before the closing bracket there, you want to hit a space. And then we're going to add a class name called body text. So class equals double quote body text double quote. So this is how your opening div class shall look like. So make sure you got that class in there. So now we're going to go to our style sheet. Don't forget to actually save your HTML there. So save it. Every time you make a change, you could either hit Control S on the keyboard or go to File, Save, just to save the file. Okay, and now we're going to go to our style sheet here. And you'll see comments where it says Start Animated Main Body Text. So hit Enter after that comment there, and then we could input our CSS for our body text. So our CSS will have the following properties applied to it. First, we'll want to define the class with a period prefix body text. So that is the name of our class, body text, and we're defining it with the class prefix period. And in between the brackets, so you'll want to add two brackets, an opening squiggly bracket and a closing squiggly bracket. And so in between these brackets, the following properties will be applied. Our width will be 840 pixels. Our height will be 100%. The position will be relative. We'll start it from the top at 0 pixels. We could just save that. File, save. Now if we go to our folder in which we saved it, which is in your seminars folder, give everyone a minute to open that up. It's in your seminars folder within the CSS Seminar Files July 7th folder. So if you open it up, you should see the text in there that we just added. There you go. There's our text that we just added. But there's no animation yet. That is what we were going to apply. So we'll want to create keyframes for our animation to get the scrolling in there. So bring that bracket up. So after the closing bracket within your body text selector, you'll want to create keyframes. So how we'll do this with @keyframes text move up. Now our keyframes are going to use a few prefixes, just because every browser has its specific prefix. So this one that we're typing right now, the @keyframes text move up, will be supported in IE. But then again, we'll need to also add the Firefox prefix, the Chrome prefix, the Safari prefix, and the previous IE prefix before IE 10. Sometimes it will work, sometimes it won't. But just if you know that you're using a Chrome, or if you know you're using Firefox, just feel free to add the prefix that supports your browser. There's no need to type out all this code that I'm typing out. Just type the one that is made for your browser. I will be typing it all, but you don't really need to do that. So our first keyframe for our text move up animation, we'll start it off at 0%. Top 0 pixels. So we're starting it at its original position at 0 pixels. Then 10% within our animation, we'll move it to -40 pixels. And then there's going to be 10 states within this keyframe. So this is our first keyframe for our text, just to get the auto scroll in there. And now I'm going to add the prefixes, which will show how to support the animations within the different browsers. So the simplest way to do this for me right now, I'm just going to copy the keyframe I created, and then I will add the prefix after the @ sign but before the word keyframe. So this prefix right here, -MOZ dash, is meant for Firefox users. So Firefox users will have to use this keyframe prefix right here in order to render the animation for their browsers. So if you're using Firefox, type @-MOZ keyframes and the keyframe name text move up. The first one I created here will just be meant for IE10 users, but if you're not using IE10, if you're using Firefox, add the following prefix. The next prefix will be for our Chrome users, which will be @-WebKit keyframes text move up. And the last prefix will be for our Opera users, almost forgot about you guys there, which will be @-O keyframes text move up. So again, if you know you're using Opera or Chrome or Firefox, just add the keyframe that is meant for your browser. So there's no need to add all 4 of these keyframes. I'm just doing it for demonstration purposes for this seminar, but just add the one that you'll be using to view your animation. So our Firefox users will need the @-MOZ keyframes. Our Chrome users will need the @-WebKit keyframes, and our Opera users will need the @-O keyframes prefix. So I'll just give everyone a minute just to make sure they got the right values in there. So our top value is basically being moved from 0 pixels and being scrolled up into the minus position so it's not visible. Now we will actually add our text move up animation into our body text selector. So we'll have to call the animation property and then call the text move up keyframe, and this animation will play for 45 seconds in a linear type of speed, so we'll same speed throughout the animation. We'll give it 2 seconds, a 2-second pause until it starts, and we'll play infinite. So it will just keep scrolling. Once it's done scrolling, it will go back to the top and then scroll again. And we'll use the fill mode property of backwards, so it goes back to its original position. Again, our animation property also uses prefix, so this animation will be intended for our IE10 users. Our prefix -MOZ animation will be for our Firefox users with the same values in there. Our -WebKit animation will be for our Chrome users, same values again. And remember, feel free just to put the prefix that is intended for the browser you are using. There's no need to put all 4, because that will just be too much work for you when you know you're just using Chrome or Firefox. You guys hear the ice cream trucks coming around. So always remember to save your file. So Control S or File Save, just to save your file there. And now if we go back into our folder and then view the site, we should see the animation play. There we go, we got our text scrolling. Oh, we have a little issue right now. Our text is not supposed to do that. Okay, let's take this out then. If we just take out the backwards, I don't think we'll actually need that. So I'll just give everyone a couple minutes just to get caught up here. So let's just check and see if this works first. Reload it. I believe we have the wrong. Let me just check again here. Sorry, just give me a minute here. Having a few technical difficulties. Oh, I see now. Okay. We got the wrong values going in there. So backwards should work now. Let's reload that and give it a shot. strange. Background 0 pixels. Oh, I see now. Sorry for that, everyone. Okay, so we should be on the right track now. It was targeting the wrong browsers. Okay. Looks like it's going good now. Okay. We might need to put it a little bit shorter though. Add the backwards back in. And let's make it 25 seconds. Okay. So that's how it should look like. Just give everyone a minute to catch up there. Reload. Move is a bit quicker. It all depends on the length of your text there too. So we don't have very much text, so we don't need to run it for that long. There we go, and it comes back and it keeps scrolling again. We could probably actually shorten that because we don't have that much text, so we'll just put it to about 18 seconds. It just depends on how long your text is there. Okay, we'll just leave it like that for now, that's fine. Okay, so we have 4 more sections left to animate within our body of our website here. So we have a section below here, and we have our sidebar to animate. So we're just gonna speed through the next 3 sections here. What I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna be copying and pasting the code for this section, but I'll still explain what's going on so you guys know what's happening here. Okay, so we're going to be working from our start body thumbnail section between the end body thumbnail section. So I'll just paste in the code here. So what we have happening here at the beginning of our start body thumbnail section, we have 4 thumbnails nested in thumbnail container divs, as you can see here as I click through them. Go back up to the first one here. So the first one here will hold an image and text for that image. Same with the next 3. I'll just give you guys, let me zoom in here so you guys could get a closer look. I'll give you guys just a few seconds just to see what's happening here. Don't forget to download the seminar files too, so you can see what's happening with the code there. So our 4 thumbnails are going to represent keyframes, transition, transform, and the marquee. Save that and give you guys a preview of what that looks like without the animation. Just gotta add some CSS there, but this is where the next section will be, below our scrolling text there. So we go over to our CSS file. We'll want to start working between our start animated thumbnail body and animated thumbnail body. So again, I'm going to copy and paste that code into this section, and I'll explain to you guys what's going on here. So our container is going to have a set position and a set width and height to it to hold the images in there. Our F1 card div will actually do some of the transitions there. So it will make the image look like 3D while it's rotating when you hover over it. And our hover, oh, went too far down there. And our hover will basically rotate the image, like spin it around 180 degrees once you hover over those thumbnails. And it will be like flipping a card. So once you flip the card, the image, the front of the image will be hidden and the back of the image will be shown. And again, we use the rotate property here with transform. Just save that, and I'll give you guys a preview. There we go. We have our 4 images in there, and then once we hover over, it flips over like a card. So what's happening here is that we're using the rotate property, as I said before, and we're using the preserve 3D property. So these two transform styles basically rotates the image and makes it look 3D, so it's like a actual like card like as it rotates. So I'll give you guys a minute just to view that. Let me scroll up here. Slowly scroll down so you see what's happening. So our transform style, again, we're using the browser prefixes here, so don't forget to include your prefix depending on which browser you are using. Our example here, we include all the prefixes for all the browsers out there to give you guys an example of what's happening. And then our hover uses the transform property again, and with the prefix, don't forget your prefix. It rotates the image 180 degrees. Our backface visibility basically hides the start of the image. So whatever you see the image once you load the page, and then when you hover over it, it hides that image that's set there when you load the page. And then our card will rotate back itself into the original image it started with. Just play that again for you guys. you hover over it and then you move, it goes back. So we're using our transform property here to rotate it 180 degrees, and our back face visibility to hide the image that it shows once you load the page. The next section here, we're going to work on our aside. So our sidebar here, as you see me just hover over our sidebar. So once we go back to our HTML file, I'll be copying and pasting some code again, but yet again I'll still explain to you guys what's happening. We're just trying to speed through this process here because I know this video has been going on for an hour now. But remember, you can also download the files. There should be a link below the video on where you can download the files so you can get a in-depth look on how to create these animations here. So we're going to insert our social media icons where it says start social media icons, end social media icons. So we got a H1 in here, which will basically define our social media icons. And we have a div. Our div will hold an unordered list, and each of the LIs within this list will hold an image to represent a specific social media platform in there. So I'll give you guys just a minute just to look that section over right there. So once we added that, let's take a look. It's not animated yet or styled, so it may be a little, there you go. So what we're going to do here is once you hover over each of these icons, they're going to do a 360 rotate, and again it will use CSS animation. So once we go to our CSS file, we're going to be working in between our start social media icons in sidebar and end social media icons in sidebar comment section. So I'll paste in the styles for that, and I'll explain to you guys what's going on here. So each one of our social media images, they're going to have an animation called rotate icon. This animation will last 1 second and run the same speed throughout the animation. So our rotate icon keyframe is created for each one of our browsers here. So always remember to use the right browser prefix so you can animate so you could get your animation rendered within the proper browser. So our animation is pretty basic for these icons. It's going to use the transform property, and basically it will rotate from 0 degrees to 360 degrees once you hover over them. Give you guys a minute just to look that over. So let's play the animation and see what's going on here. We'll refresh the page. We got our scrolling text. We got our flipping thumbnails. And once you hover over the icons, it does a 360 spin. Pretty cool, eh? So again, what we did here, we just created the rotate icon keyframe, and we used the transform property to rotate it 360 degrees. And this is what we came up with here. Please remember to download the files there underneath the video so you could get a first-hand look of the code, because I know you probably won't be able to copy it as quick as the amount of time I give you to actually show the code there. So we're going to move on to the next section now. So our next section is going to lie underneath our social media icons in this area here. As you see the yellow hover, it's going to actually be a CSS3 animated slider. It's going to be pretty cool, so check out how I did this part. So for this part, we're going to be working in between the, oh, I had to change that. We're going to be working between the start animated slider and the end animated slider. So between the animated slider comment section there. Again, I'm just copying and pasting from the template that we created. So what's going on here is, again, we created a heading called More Resources on CSS3, and this will hold a list, again, with images and text. So as you see here, we have our UL, and it holds text for each of the images that we have here. Give you guys a second to still look that over. We haven't styled it yet, so it may not look how it's supposed to look yet, but I'll show you guys what we have once we added the HTML here. So we'll have to add some style in here because it's not really positioned, but this is where the slider will be positioned in the sidebar there. So once we add the CSS code, the CSS code will go between the start animated slider sidebar and the end animated slider sidebar. So I'll explain here again once I paste the code what's going on. So we have our holder, which basically holds our slider, and we just have a couple classes for our text there. So our list now is going to be the actual place where the animation will be played, and we created an animation with a keyframe called change frame, and this keyframe is going to last 45 seconds, and it's going to play in an infinite loop. So it's going to keep on scrolling through the content there within our UL list. Oh, went too far down there. Okay, so I'll show you the keyframe here. So our keyframe here is called change frame, and this keyframe, it goes it basically changes the positioning. So it goes it's visible and then it's not visible. So this is why the left position, it changes from 0 to minus 749. And we also use an opacity just to make the image fade in and fade out, so it looks like basically a real slider there. So also don't forget the prefixes for whichever browser you are going to be using. So we included the prefixes here. Let's give you guys a second to take a look at the keyframes there. Don't forget to download the code there below the video so you could get an in-depth look on it. I'm just going to scroll through the style again so you guys can see what's happening here. Save that and then play it again. There we go. Our image and our text fades in, and then our slider, it slides through the content. that we placed in our UL list within our HTML file. Pretty cool, and all this animation just uses HTML and CSS3. So no flashes needed, no videos, just pure HTML and CSS. So this is our animated body using HTML5 and CSS3. We have our scrolling text, our flipping thumbnails, and our rotating icons, and our slider. Pretty cool. So also don't forget to download the source files below the video there, and also don't forget to visit our blog cssanimation.net. Always come back, because we're always posting up new content on there, and we'd love your feedback as well if you have any ideas on anything that you would like to see created with using HTML5 and CSS3. So we hope you enjoyed our little tutorial there on animating parts of a body with parts of a HTML page body with using CSS3. And thank you for coming out. I'll see you guys later. This is Tiffany from Taz Designs. Bye bye.